Welcome to the Boys Club. I'm Danny Phantom.
And I'm H2 Olga. And today we're discussing Season 2, Episode 4 of The Boys, entitled Nothing Like It in the World.
Nothing like it in the world, baby. All right, what did you think about this episode? Do you think there was nothing like it in the world?
I mean, it was a really good episode.
Yeah.
It was pretty unique.
Yes.
I really enjoyed all of the different stories. It felt, like, how is this still going and going, but in a good way?
They have a really big cast, and I think they did a great job of balancing everybody, especially because, we talked about last week how I felt like Mother's Milk and Frankie needed a little bit more oomph to them.
Yeah,
and I think that they made some big steps forward there this week for sure.
Yeah, we finally got Mother's Milk's motivation for fighting against Vought, and it was just a really nice character episode for him that I think we needed to have it be not just about him trying to get back to his daughter and his wife.
Yeah. I broke down my little outline it by character and basically this has so many characters that each plot line is basically a character or a set of two. So let's start by talking about Butcher and Becca.
I think this might be the thing that I am most critical of,
interesting.
Other than our typical punching bag, but we'll get to that. I guess, it was really nice to have them reconnect.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, do I really believe that after all this time looking for her, that Butcher would not accept her even if it came with the kid?
Well, I think he accepts her. He just doesn't accept the kid.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I thought it was a very interesting plot line. And I was surprised that they made this much movement in it at this point in the season.
Well, we're halfway through the season now.
I guess that's true, yeah.
So I kind of feel like it is appropriate.
I have to be honest, I kind of thought he'd be searching for her until the finale.
I actually did too.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I kind of like that our expectations were subverted.
Yeah.
And it's not a redux of Butcher looks for, looks for an answer for the whole season.
Well, it completely upends that character that she is basically rejecting him because of his own failings. Because it wasn't even just because of the kid. It was because she said, you have too much hate in you. And her talking about how he put her on a pedestal and stuff like that. I thought that was great. I still want them to be able to figure it out and to work it out. And I guess that if he is able to, open himself up to the kid more, maybe they can figure that out. But in the meantime, what is his goal now? What is he doing? And all I can think of that what he would be doing is well, fuck it, I guess I have nothing, I guess I'll just try to kill Homelander again. But that's not exactly going to lead him down a path that will make him more open to superheroes. So
I think this is the thing this episode is going to, or for the rest of the season, he is going to be having an identity crisis. And it's kind of, I think, going to be nice or different to see Butcher less confident in himself.
Yeah. It's where does he go from here?
Yeah. I don't think he knows.
Yeah. I think that's the first time in the show where that is really true, where he doesn't have a clear, guiding light.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting.
Some part of him is going to be, and his story is going to be him trying to evade maybe Black Noir and the Seven because he's still a wanted man.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it is going to have to be an internal journey.
Let's talk about Kimiko and Frankie. I saw some criticism that Kimiko should have gotten more after the fallout of last week, given that was such a traumatic thing for her. I think they were trying to spread the love a little bit, considering she had so much going on. I felt a little torn about that, actually, because I feel sort of making it more about Frankie than her is a little odd. But at the same time, she's a silent character, so it's
she was processing.
Yeah.
I got what was going on in her head. And yes, it is frustrating now, the person that she spoke with, communicated with is dead. And now she's isolated. I felt her renewed isolation again in her hatred. Yes, it's very selective in its moments, but it's an ensemble show. They showed other character arcs. Yeah.
But I really did like the scene of her going to the rally. I thought that they did a great job there.
Yeah.
And I think it was really cool how they sort of deconstructed Frankie's issues and sort of brought it all back to Lamplighter and and his sort of failure with the kids.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. And I am excited to get to the Lamplighter stuff because we know he was cast for this season.
Yeah.
I think it's almost past due at this point.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Yeah. I do like how Frenchie was put in his place about trying to I kissed her because I was trying to make her feel better. It's like, that's stupid. Don't do that. I think it kind of puts the brakes on their romantic relationship in a logical way.
Yeah.
Like, she's not there. Like, she's not ready emotionally. She's in a different place. So, Frenchie, you need to put that shit aside, your infatuation aside, and, like, help her in the way that she needs.
Well, speaking of relationship stuff, let's talk about Starlight and Huey, who are my favorites ever.
They're so cute. Billy Joel 5 ever.
Oh my God, yeah, that scene of the "we didn't start the fire."
Yeah.
That was so great.
MM was just like, oh.
Why am I here?
I hate this.
These white people. I thought that was a great scene. Obviously, they just have great chemistry, great banter. You know, they really know how to write a couple, I think, really well. What do you think about how they left things?
I think it kind of makes sense. It's will they, won't they are frustrating, but I don't know. I feel like they will just eventually. They just got to do all this stuff aside. I'm not actually that annoyed that they're keeping them apart, because at the same time, they're still like, they feel that connection to each other. And yes, Starlight is still hurt by Huey, and there are other priorities in her life too, much like with Kimiko in a way. So.
I will say the one thing that I am feeling from this episode is, and that's maybe a good and bad thing, is that things seem a little nebulous right now, or like what is Starlight's plan now? Like, why is she still part of the Seven? What is she, like, she's not really doing anything as an undercover agent. We still don't know what Stormfront's plan is. Homelander doesn't really have a goal in mind anymore. Like,
to be loved.
Yeah, I mean, like, no, his goal is he doesn't need love anymore. Which I mean, that's not a goal, but you know what I mean. I thought that was interesting stuff. We'll get to Homelander in a bit, but my point is, like, he's not, like, last season it was all about getting into the military and stuff like that. I don't know where almost anyone is going anymore, aside from the fact that they're trying to uncover this whole mystery with Liberty, but also to what end, I guess. It's not like the CIA is really going after Vought anyway, so
right, it's all undercover. You have a good point where this is the transitional episode, but I don't really fully understand everything that it's transitioning to.
I guess the overarching thing of the season is what happened to the CIA agent who had her head exploded, which I felt like has been handled kind of strangely, because, like, I thought that it was supposed to be Kimiko's brother using telekinesis to do it, and I guess we were wrong about that. And then this episode, they were like, maybe it was Stormfront
did it,
and I'm like, how the hell would Stormfront do that?
And also, why?
But
it was Black Noir.
Well, since I brought up Stormfront, why don't we talk about the Liberty reveal?
I mean, given everything that's going on in the United States now with racial justice protests and the spate of killings of Black people in this country, this episode is kind of timely. It's like, this is nothing new. Like, this is the abuse of power by the white establishment against innocent people of color is like a tale as old as time. It gets covered up and not prosecuted properly. And it's as relevant now as it was decades ago. So
I think that's certainly interesting. I did not see it coming that she was this very old lady.
Racist, I mean, in a way, it's kind of unfortunate that, like, there's plenty of white supremacy and racism going on now, and hatred now. So to just be like, oh, the reason she's racist is because she's old.
I mean,
I don't. A little bit like
that was the one thing about the reveal that did feel a bit like a bummer to me. And I don't know if it's as simple as she's old, so old people are racist. But making her like an old school racist as opposed to really talking about what's going on right now. But I still feel like they can still do that by the way that she is radicalizing others.
Right. Or forward. Will become a figurehead for people who hold those beliefs now, even that are also young and of the 21st century.
My other thing that I'm interested in is I want to see a scene of her and who's the guy? Giancarlo Esposito's character.
Stan Edgar.
Stan Edgar. Because I want to know why they chose her, if they were the ones who decided to reinvent her this way, or she did it herself, or they did it together, and what their end game is for her versus what her end game is for herself. Because that is very mysterious to me at this point.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like, she seems very anti-Vought while also working for Vought. And it seems like it's a facade, but at the same time, like, they hired her in the first place. So why?
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe it's just them playing the more complex marketing game where it's like, even if she's saying crap about Vought, like, people love her.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm telling it like it is. So you should listen to me. And I'm telling you not to buy stuff that they make, but because you like me, you're going to.
Yeah. While we're on the topic of Stormfront, I also really enjoyed her scene with Homelander and how she sort of talked her way around him and got to him for sure. I think their dynamic is great.
Yeah. The scene where he's like looking through all the shitpost memes about him on the internet and getting angrier and angrier. And she's like, I kind of orchestrated this because this is like, you know, what it takes to be popular. And you don't need a multi-million-dollar marketing campaign if you have internet.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Jumping back to the Huey road trip thing, let's talk more about Mother's Milk.
Okay.
I really liked the connection that he sort of bonded with Starlight. I thought that was great to see that forming. And then, his whole monologue about his father, he delivered it so well. I think it was well written. Really, great motivation for him, and how it also connects back to his daughter, which is something we already knew about.
Yeah.
The only thing I can say is that I'm like, I do wish we got this earlier.
That's exactly it. I feel like midway through season 2 isn't the time to figure out why he risked everything for this cause, but better late than never, especially when it was so emotionally poignant, and the way they like tied it into convincing that woman to like tell them what happened with Liberty. It had that heart. Yeah,
but part of me wonders with whether like also should it have been like a cold open flashback of some kind? Like, what if the very first time we met him, there was a cold open flashback of that?
But also it was a thing over time. Like his dad dedicated like weeks of his life to this, and having it like, maybe him flashing back to like finding his dad would have kind of worked, or having a nightmare of his like daughter finding him in the same way. Like, I could see that maybe kind of working. But the whole thing is that they also tied it to Starlight and the like Baskin Robbins thing.
I like that too.
Like that was really sweet. So you have the like heartfelt story, and then you have the heartbreaking one. So
all right. So let's knock out a few people.
Freaking Homelander outed Maeve on.
But that's another one where I'm like, where is this going? He seems like he is over it. Maybe, but you never know with him.
You can't trust
he can
that.
Turn on a dime.
Yeah. He still put the fear of the threat to Maeve, basically.
That
like,
was definitely an intense ass scene.
It is, but at the same time, I'm like, she spent so much time trying to like protect this secret, and like 2 seasons of that, and now it's just like, he knows. So what is she going to do? Because her entire story seems to be about her relationship.
Yeah.
So
I think there could be very interesting stuff about also how the media handles it going forward.
Yeah.
Because I do think that in a lot of ways that scene was actually more about Homelander than it was about her.
Absolutely. Because then even going back to the meme thing, they were like making fun of Homelander's appearance on the talk show. And there wasn't even additional conversation about Maeve being gay, like from her point of view.
Well, and I also think it was about Homelander because it was about building up to his final moment here of nobody tells me the truth. I can't count on anyone kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about A-Train. which also connects with that interview, because I thought it was interesting that he fires A-Train, and then later in that interview when they're talking about representation, he's like, oh, well, we have A-Train.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that means that he'll change his mind, and if he does, I thought it was interesting that we didn't revisit it in this episode.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I'm kind of shocked that they're like, all right, you're fired, instead of trying to get A-Train to like quit himself.
Well, they had this whole plan of like putting him out to pasture as a like legacy or like,
right.
So
yeah, maybe that's how Lamplighter will get connected to everything, because he also.
Well, we have no idea what happened. I mean, is he dead?
No, I don't think so.
We don't know for sure.
That's true. Vought could have like taken him out or something.
Or the boys could have after what happened.
Didn't sound like that.
Didn't sound like it, but I'm really unclear on what occurred. Because
Translucent was the first soup that they took out.
I think you're right about that, yeah. So A-Train, interesting thing. Yeah, maybe he works with Starlight now more directly.
Yeah, because they have that connection going.
Yeah.
Like, he could have the perspective of, they wronged me and you're fighting against them now. I'm with you because screw them.
Yeah, that would definitely be interesting. Let's talk in more detail about Homelander, right? So this whole episode is about him being angry. I mean, it comes to a head, I think, with the fact that Stormfront sort of... makes him feel bad about how much he needs to be loved by everybody. And so, it has that ending moment of like, I don't need anybody. I'm a motherfucking Homelander. And the whole thing with the doppelganger guy and Stillwell, they find new creepy ass ways to make him creepy every week.
Yep. It's a gift. Yeah. Yeah, that was incredibly unsettling. I did not enjoy it even while I was drawn into it. Yeah.
Very fascinating.
Awful. I read an interview with Eric Kripke where he regretted pulling the punch of not having Homelander fillate himself. So he was like, at the last minute, and I wish I did, like the self-love thing, truly, and then the killing, having him break his own neck after that would have been like even more poignant. Yeah. But I mean, it was intense.
We got the idea. Very interesting and very scary to have him getting to this point.
Yeah.
Because what does that mean? And do you think that we'll get to a point where he just says fuck it and becomes a straight up supervillain?
Yeah. I think that's what it's building to.
You think that's the end of the season?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Homelander as enemy number one will like truly outwardly is the natural like building point for this character.
Yeah, because honestly, his desire to be loved by the public is the one thing that has kept him in check.
That has him lying about the truth of like civilian casualties and putting on a facade and everything. Yeah. I mean, it's also destructive because he always has that facade, but when he doesn't care about it, is he going to be even more indiscriminate in his killings?
Well, it's interesting to think about also. I don't know if I buy that they'd go this way, but if Stormfront was able to work with him as far as her idea of, her sort of white supremacist idea, but also feeding into his ego of we're better than them.
I mean, she even says, like, you're everything that America should be, aka, like, Aryan looking. Yeah. So, I don't know. I feel like I could see them having, like, an alliance is, like, the one, if he buys into her, like, she's the one person that he will trust. Yeah. Or at least, like, understand enough to work with.
Yeah. Certainly, I don't think Homelander particularly cares about race one way or another, so he could be steered in any direction, I think.
Yeah.
All right, let's end off with the deep, the idea of rehabilitating his image via a wife.
Yeah.
I mean, at least I do think it's interesting that they are making these commentaries about how people wriggle out of things and put themselves in the public image.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's also interesting for them to do it because right now we're in a spot where has anybody from the Me Too movement actually succeeded? I don't know. I mean, because every time Louis C.K. stands up and tries to do something, everybody freaks out.
Yeah, but he's still doing it and he's still having people go see him.
That's true.
But he's not really like fully in the public eye.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Kevin Spacey just seems to be done.
Well, he's being sued now, and he is still trying to like come back.
Yeah.
Who else? Chris Hardwick had his show kept going.
That's true. Yeah.
And he's just like kind of deactivated social media, but he's still doing interviews.
Yeah.
Like the podcast is still going. So, I mean,
yeah.
There are more examples. Like, I mean, Weinstein is in prison, but.
Yeah. Well, I guess I think it's interesting because, I mean, it always, I'd say pre-Me Too, right? It always was the like, oh, you can come back from anything as a celebrity, whether you're, who's the anti-Semitic guy?
Oh, Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson, yeah. I mean,
screw that guy.
Somehow he came back.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah,
I'm just like, people can't.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting how they're deconstructing that.
Yeah.
All right, so those are our thoughts. Any last words?
Oh, guys, I don't want this video to... My head explodes. I don't know. I'm excited for next week. I am excited to see the turning point for a lot of these characters.
Yeah. All right. So we will be back next week. We are going to aim to have this out on Friday next week.
Fingers crossed.
Now that we realize we can actually maybe watch on Thursdays, which we didn't realize in the past. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And I hope you're doing okay.